Hi, thanks for tuning into High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to all the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
With all of the crowd-funded horror films coming out, and most of them being sequels to franchises with several sequels already, it only makes sense that eventually someone would focus in on one that doesn't have any sequels, My Bloody Valentine from 1981. Valentine Bluffs is the name of the sequel, and it is a full-length feature, and it's now available to stream on YouTube. We're going to review it today and then talk with the director, Tom Smith, to go deeper into the movie and in the minds, so to speak, and find out why it was time to finally make a sequel. All that and more today on High on Horror. Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. Alright, well, now it's time for Strainwreck. Let's start the show off the right way. If you hear that train a-rolling, you know what it means. Strainwreck is a segment of our show where we discuss what strain of cannabis we're getting wrecked on. And, John, what are we smoking today?
It's called SFV OG Kush, and that's what it said on the bag. I was wondering...
So it's like not even a word, it's just like a bunch of letters.
But it's an abbreviation. I found that out looking it up here. It stands for San Fernando Valley OG Kush.
Okay.
And it's an indica marijuana strain made by crossing SFV OG with OG Kush, and the result's a heavy-handed indica known for its sedated and relaxing effects. SFG OG Kush, that's such a long thing to say. I was going to say a mouthful, but I didn't want to say that. Leave that open for comment. Anyway, it says it's pungent and commonly described as smelling like lemon-scented cleaner mix with pine. So like pine sol?
Oh, wow.
I guess like lemon pine sol is what that sounds like. Medical marijuana patients choose this strain for its ability to relieve symptoms associated with chronic pain. Top feelings are sleepy, relaxed, and euphoric.
Okay, I wonder if I was going to ask if forgetful was going to be one, because I was getting a little forgetful earlier.
Negatives are headache, dry mouth, and paranoid.
Ah, well, those are the usuals.
You and I talked off air about this last week, about how I was reading some of these reviews here for the strains, and they were pretty hilarious. So I got a couple here. This one's from February 15th of 2016. It says, this one oddly gives me energy for an indica. It helps me chill out and enjoy activities like dancing in the grocery store, which is the only legal place a grown man is allowed to enjoy Taylor Swift, which is the real crime here. Well, I'm glad you enjoy Taylor Swift. That's not for us, but I thought that one was pretty good.
Yeah.
And this is the one I liked, and it's the most recent or at least the top listed review, because 91 people found this helpful. From October 8th of 2014, you better get your wheelchair now because you will need it. Smoke this bud with a friend at his trailer park while a bunch of senior citizens walked by, and they knew we had that good. Laughed my ass off. Anyways, this bud will give you a couch lock so high, so beware. The flowers that I got were super dense, rock solid, super frosty nugs, and you could definitely tell that they were an OG. This high creeped in on me, slowly numbing my body, legs first. Definitely recommend everyone to try it out, especially if you're an indica fan. So if you find this, apparently get a wheelchair ready. I hope we don't need it today. But yeah, so I'm going to make sure, hopefully we don't fall asleep. But if we do, I'm going to make sure that we do, because I brought back one of these King Palms. Those flavored ones. You hit the, like, I think I compared them to, like, the Salem Crush, but for, like, these little pre-filled blunts. But I don't think we smoked one of these since season 1, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a while. I forgot all about them.
I forgot all about them, and then when I was looking at the dispensary, I'd never click on accessories.
Right.
And I saw it, I was like, oh shit, I forgot all about these. So, yeah, I got one of those filled up for the episode.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I can't wait to try that. I was going to say, something that I wanted to bring up to you is that due to the Writers Guild of America strike, Marvel's Blade has been shut down now. Its pre-production has been shut down due to the Writers Guild of America strike, and this will be the second time that this movie has now been on strike or on pause for different reasons.
And we just talked about it. Get it back on track again.
I know. They just started casting and shit. And in other news, there's a new Blair Witch movie coming out that's supposedly going to start filming in the late summer or fall. Directed by Oliver Park, who had done. He's a British writer and director who had done The Offering. I don't know though. Like, do we need another Blair Witch movie? Like, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
That watermelon tastes good. I'm not a fan of any of the Blair Witches, so I don't see the need unless you're just going to make one that's finally good.
Shit. Okay.
But I don't like found footage films.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to know like what they're going to do differently. There's only so many different ways you can tackle this. Like, it's not Paranormal Activity. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need a ton of sequels here. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up to you was that Scott McNairy from Argo has signed on to do the remake of Speak No Evil, which we have not talked about yet, about how there's going to be a remake of that. And, he's joining Mackenzie Davis and James McAvoy.
Yeah, I mean, check out our episode with Christian Taftrub. Jeez.
Come on, you gonna get his name wrong?
Man, I mean, and it's funny because my last name is horrendous to try to pronounce. So
yeah. You
would figure I'd be more caring about people's last names. I mean, I kind of got to the point in my life, as long as it's close and you said it, I was at the hospital one time and this woman mispronounced it terribly. And she goes, "I got that right." I was like, "Nope," but I'm just used to it at this point. But right. Anyway, that tangent aside, yeah, Christian Taftrub, go check out our interview with him. The question is, how do you make it better?
Or as edgy? Like I said,
yeah, especially as edgy.
So much is bleeding together. We talk so much about movies. I can't even remember what we recorded and what we don't. But I think I might have said this on the air. I said this to you at some point. I don't see them doing that ending in the American version. I don't think that it's going to have the balls. Just like none of these American remakes do. The thing that they always lack is the balls that the foreign version had. And I don't think that the ending, spoiler alert, the little girl's tongue getting cut out, I don't think that's something that's going to make it in this version.
I don't know, because I'd say 10 years ago, I'd for sure agree with you. I think it depends, like how...
It is Blumhouse.
I feel like American horror started to get more edgier, like the European films, but I think that's because now we're getting directors that are fans of those.
Yeah, true.
But 10 years ago, I'd 100% agree with you that there's no way that would happen, but I think it could, but I, again, also would not be surprised if it didn't. It sounds like I'm just hedging my bets, but, like,
You're trying
I'm not going to be surprised either way. Like,
yeah, okay. But I'm going to be surprised if they show
I just don't know that they, like, Speak No Evil. That was, like, I think that was, like, my movie of the year last year.
Yeah, it was fucking excellent.
That was my favorite. I'm probably contradicting myself. I don't even think we did, like, a top list for last year, did we?
I don't think we did. I don't know.
But if it was...
We did do a top 5, and yours was... You definitely put it at, like, number 1. Yeah, for sure. We did do that. I do remember that.
Yeah. I just don't know how they're going to top it.
Yeah. All right, well, on that note, let's go on into horror history.
Horror his?
This week in horror history.
All right, starting with May 16th, Ronnie James Dio died.
Oh, man. I refuse to believe that Dio is dead, man. He is in the multiverse, slaying dragons and restoring metal back to when it kicked ass. Dio's my all-time favorite vocalist. What's your favorite song by him?
Holy Diver.
Holy Diver. Yeah, mine's Rainbow in the Dark. Yeah, I could keep talking about Dio, so it's best if we move that along.
Yes. May 18th, The Abominable Dr. Phoebes.
Yeah, I said this before. That's my favorite Vincent Price movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not my favorite Vincent Price. He's got but then again, he's got too many good movies. You damn kids today don't know about Vincent Price.
No, it's a damn shame.
With your iPads and iPhones. May 19th, Speak No Evil. Damn, I just want to talk about it some more. See No Evil from 2006. Glenn Jacobs, I have sent you several messages, and I've seen you've read them. Come on, man. Come on the show. Nobody's doing episodes on See No Evil. What do you got? Come on. Like, you're a mayor now. You got nothing to do.
But, man, I remember when I first saw this, and I was still into wrestling at that time. And, like, I was balls into watching horror movies, and I thought that this was going to be awesome. I was like, what, Kane in a horror movie? But, man, boy, was I fucking wrong. And the sequel sucked ass, too.
Damn, you didn't like it?
No, not at all.
Damn, Glenn Jacobs is for sure not coming on if he listens to this.
Well, I didn't know you were going to pitch him an invite.
Damn. My bad, Glenn. You know what? If you want to come on, you just don't talk to Drew.
Yeah, you can just do a one-on-one with John. I'm cool with that.
I mean, we'll talk probably for like an hour and a half just about your wrestling career. But
I'll give you my questions to ask him for me.
I'll just, so that way he won't answer them. I'll just be like, this question is from Drew. 1989, also on May 19th, Fright Night 2.
Have you seen part 2? It's got a following, but I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, because I do like Tommy Lee Wallace, but...
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he directed it, and, we love him, but I just thought it was like a huge step down from the first Fright Night. The first Fright Night isn't my favorite vampire movie like it is yours, but I still very much hold it in high regard. Part 2 is a huge step down.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got those autographs. I still need that Charlie autograph on there to make it complete. I mean, I would love the Roddy McDowell, but unfortunately, that can't happen.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Also, May 19th, Witchfinder General, a.k.a. The Conqueror Worm, 1968.
Yeah, another Vincent Price movie. This one actually it bored me to death. I'm not a fan. That was a big miss for me.
So your list of actors, I feel like this goes Christian Bale and then Vincent Price.
Nah, actually, believe it or not, it's Christian Bale, Bruce Campbell, Vincent Price.
My bad. Also, we're still on May 19th, Sean Whalen's birthday.
Yeah, dude. He's a favorite in the horror community, and he's big on smoking weed. I think he has his own dispensary. So he's cool with us. I'm definitely going to think about getting him on here, and we'll see about having a nice educational talk.
That would be pretty fun. Oh, we're finally moving today. May 20th, Mike Flanagan birthday.
Yeah, man.
Birthday.
Like James Wan and Damien Leone, Mike Flanagan is like a living legend. He does nothing but quality work, and I've enjoyed most of his work, especially Oculus and The Haunting of Hill House.
He was out on the strike line. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I mean, who knows when they're going to resolve that, but
by the time this episode airs, it probably will have been resolved.
Yeah, most likely. So I guess now it's time to get that PPA.
Puff Puff Ask.
Yo, man. Puff Puff Pass.
All right, Puff Puff Ask is a segment of our show where we read off messages that you listeners write into us on social media at highonhorror420 and through email at highonhorror420@gmail.com and our website highonhorror.com. I'll start. This one was an email that we got from Daryl T. He messaged us after our last episode aired when we had talked about Terrifier 2, and Daryl asks, he says, "Hey guys, great episode. I can't wait to see Evil Dead Rise. I have a question. Why does everyone like Terrifier? I don't get it. I hated the first one and couldn't sit through the second one. You guys love Art the Clown, so please explain to me, what am I missing?" That's an interesting one. So like I don't really think that you're missing anything. I totally think it's okay to like not like something based on your own opinion. You don't need to impress anyone by liking something just because they do. But for me, what I get out of the Terrifier movies is that they come off like 80s grindhouse video nasties movies. Remember, John, I talked to you about this? Yeah. They come off like the movies that you'd be sneaking behind your mom's back to watch and get in trouble if you got caught watching it. They're grimy and gory exploitation slashers, and they also have a sense of humor. But I think mainly Art is what people were expecting Victor Crowley from the Hatchet films to be. A lot of people thought Victor Crowley was like the next big horror icon, and he never really became that. And a lot of people just saw him as a Jason ripoff, unfortunately. However, Art is why'd I say it like that? He's fresh in every way. And back in the day, we watched horror movies. We didn't know that Michael and Jason and Freddy were going to be pop culture icons. We had no idea. But now that we're older, we could spot a character and say that's the next icon of horror. And I mean, that's Art. Prove me wrong. He's up there with the greats.
Yeah, I was gonna. That's funny. It's Daryl T wrote in. Could have just been Nicole, because I feel like this is her opinion on Terrifier. And I've always told her,
Nicole? Is that a fake account?
Are you Daryl T? Nicole, we've talked about this numerous times, but I guess I'll just say the same thing like I pretty much tell her. Is just like, I love slasher movies. Like, that's the subgenre that I like the most. And I'm not here to be like, slashers are superior. I know most of them have a pretty weak plot for the most part, like Sans Like a Halloween, which is really kind of just kind of a loose plot too that just kind of works. I just like slashers because you can just throw them on anytime.
Yeah.
And that's what art is. But it's just, I mean, for me, sometimes I'm even like, oh, am I getting old? This seems a little over the top. Like the whole bedroom scene. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I'm just like, holy
Agreed.
shit.
There's certain things
Was that necessary?
Agreed.
And then I went, wait, did I watch a horror movie? And I said, was that necessary?
Right. Am I getting soft, or did it really just go that far? 100%. I get you. That was good. I like that. I felt the same way.
And David's just like portrayal of art as just like that silent clown that it's like he's a bloodthirsty psychopath, and like just like I just mentioned, the bedroom scene, you see how evil he is, but just like the funny, almost comical spin he puts on the character.
Yeah, that physical acting,
is also what just draws me in, because like art's just like ridiculous in every sense. Like everything he does is just ridiculous.
There's
but
a touch of like ridiculous humor to it. Like everything he does kind of has a little bit of dark humor. There's like everything, even from like just sitting down reading the newspaper when he's washing his clothes, can be looked at with like humor. So I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to use one of my favorite movies, The Big Lebowski. Nicole doesn't care for it. I made her watch it. She didn't get it. And I said, it's just, I feel like that movie's the same way with Terrifier. You just get it, and you either like it or you don't, or you don't get it, and you just don't like it. Like, there's just two camps on those movies, I feel like. People just either get it or they don't. The people that do fucking enjoy the shit out of the movie. And it's just a good time. So, I guess we can...
I would agree with that.
So, we also got another message after our last episode.
I pulled this one for you.
I know, thank you. Drew is the one that, like, picks our questions out. Tiara H messaged us and said, John, did you really think Army of Darkness is better than the first Evil Dead? I think that Kevin Smith got to your head.
It rhymes.
It did. I mean... That was probably the best pre-roll I've ever smoked. And I'm not just trying to, pun intended, blow smoke up Kevin Smith's ass. Like, that was a damn good pre-roll. Like, it was infused, too.
But was it enough to alter your opinion on Army of Darkness?
I don't think so. Look, also another movie you can say, I guess. Either you get it or you don't. I enjoy Evil Dead, but I just feel like Evil Dead 2 is just... I'm probably going to get more messages now that I say this. Evil Dead 2 negates the first Evil Dead to me. Like, it's just so much similar that it's just kind of like, oh, that was the
better
short
version.
film, the demo film, and then Evil Dead 2 was the polished version of it.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm just kind of like Evil Dead 1, whatever. I'd just rather put in Evil Dead 2. And then if I want to watch, like, ridiculousness, I'll just put on Army of Darkness. So
yeah, I feel
number 2.
That's pretty funny.
Like, we also address, I mean, Ash vs. Evil Dead, number 1, period, for me.
Yeah, my wife said that Ash vs. Evil Dead was number 1 for her, too. And like I said, it's definitely number 2 for me. If anything is better than Evil Dead 2, it's the show. But I still keep the show after it. I
still just like the show.
But yeah.
Well, wait, I don't mean I just like the show, but...
yeah, I got you.
I'm high off this shit.
So yeah, if any of you listeners out there want to reach out to us and ask a question, don't hesitate. You can find us on social media using the same tag, HighOnHorror420, and email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com, and visit our website, highonhorror.com, and reach out to us through there. All right, let's talk about Valentine's Bluffs now. My Bloody Valentine is one of my favorite slashers of all time. I've mentioned it a lot on this podcast before. It's top 3 for me, slashers I mean. My wife even likes it, and she doesn't really like 80s slasher movies, but she hit the nail on the head. My wife Sam told me that she likes the movie because it has real characters. They don't seem to be acting. They're real characters and they're going through relatable situations. Plus, there isn't any dumb blonde or any other stereotypical slasher character besides the killer. All of the characters in My Bloody Valentine are smart and capable individuals, which is what makes it such a so dynamic, or such a great dynamic, I mean, for when they encounter the killer, the miner. The ending of the movie has a great twist and concludes with, I guess, what I'd call an eerie, he's still out there shot.
Yeah, I was never really a huge fan of the original one. I enjoy it.
Okay, you enjoy it at least.
I don't. This is gonna sound terrible. Like,
where you're gonna get another message written to you next week. Somebody's gonna come at you.
I don't make a habit of watching it every Valentine's Day. Where like I might watch Leprechaun every St. Patrick's Day. I know that sounds probably terrible, but like
that's fair.
I don't watch it every year on Valentine's Day. If I get around to it, I'll watch it. But I think the killer is one of the best designed killers in all of slasher movies. Like I like the whole miner outfits. So like I can't complain in that aspect.
Totally, you know, and I always loved the movie, you know, but when the uncut DVD hit in the early 2000s, that was when I realized that like all of the kills had been cut, you know, and my mind was blown. I thought that all of the kills in the movie were done off screen on purpose. You know, I thought it was just a non-gory movie, but I still loved it. And come to find out that all the kills were filmed and like in detail with practical effects, and to get to see those was game changing, and it made me like the movie even more. And it actually pissed me off. It was one of the first like things that really stood out to me about censorship, and it pissed me off because I realized what I was missing, or what everyone was missing. And it was so heavily edited, and they edited it so badly that the studio edited Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. But you know, unlike The New Blood, My Bloody Valentine's footage wasn't lost and could be restored, because there's a ton of like super gory footage from New Blood that is just gone, that we'll never get.
Yeah, but the lost kills from Part 7, well, was that the one that we lost the sleeping bag with? And
like the buzzsaw? Okay,
yeah. I haven't watched, I'd say, The New Blood as much as... It's funny, I'd say I watch probably Jesus Takes Manhattan more, and New Blood is definitely the better movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of the best designed Jasons. Of the first 8, agree. The best looking Jason. I don't know, 6 is pretty good.
Well, anyway, 42 years later, we now have a sequel to My Bloody Valentine, and that's what we're reviewing today. So, John, walk us through it, bud.
All right. So the film opens with a recap of the events that took place in the original My Bloody Valentine, in which a miner named Harry Warden went on a killing spree in the town of Valentine Bluffs on Valentine's Day. A lot of Valentines. The authorities eventually put a stop to Harry's rampage, but not before he killed several people and caused widespread panic and fear. Before we get a little further, I kind of remember something I want to talk about.
Okay.
The remake.
Yeah.
The 3D one.
Yeah.
Terrible, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It was one of those movies, like when they remade Fog, that made me like the original more.
I was like,
I like the Fog. I was like, oh, well, this is the this is why it was better to make me like it. It made me like it more.
Yeah, I wanted to like it, but it just seemed like it was just there to just like throw 3D images at you. It wasn't a good movie at all.
And I didn't see it in theaters, so that was kind of lost on me. Oh man, another side tangent. Hey, we just summed up the original, so we haven't actually got into the sequel. What is it with 3D, man? It's like every like 20, 30 years, there's like a 3D fad that you're like, oh, the technology is improved, it's good now. And then everybody's like, you know what, I don't want 3D.
Yeah, I know.
I guess we're about due probably like another 10 years or so for some more 3D shit.
Probably.
It's funny because then like I'll even get swept up each time a little bit, and then I'm like, oh no, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was all
Why
3D.
Was everybody watching 3D TVs? What the fuck were we thinking? Anyway, getting back to our film here, we fast forward 10 years later, and a group of young adults are returning to Valentine Bluffs for a Valentine's Day party. You know, that sounds like a smart thing to do, right?
Yeah, right.
Among the group are Tom, the organizer of the event, his girlfriend Lily, and their friends Sarah, Beth, and Michael. As they arrive in town, they're greeted by a local sheriff who warns them about the dangers of being in Valentine's Bluff on Valentine's Day. Given, you know, the Tark. Jesus, man, this weed's getting me. Given the town has a dark history. And despite the sheriff's warning, the group decides to continue with their plans, and they begin partying at a local bar. However, things take a turn for the worse when they start receiving menacing messages from an unknown source warning them to leave the town before it's too late. The group initially brushes off the message as a prank, but as the night wears on, they start to realize that something is seriously wrong. Soon the group begins to be targeted by a new string of murders, each one more gruesome than the last. One of the victims is found dead in a laundromat, while another one is trapped in a dryer and burned alive. That shit was fucked up. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I agree.
As they struggle to stay alive, they begin to piece together clues that suggest that Harry Warden may not be dead after all, and that someone's using his identity to carry out a new reign of terror. And as the group turns to the local sheriff for help, but he's skeptical of their claims and insists that Harry Warden's dead. However, the sheriff's deputy, Axel, seems to know more than he's letting on, and the group begins to suspect that he may be involved in the murders. The body count continues to rise. The group finds themselves trapped in a deserted mine. I mean, we had to go to a mine, right?
We had to, yeah.
They end up discovering the truth behind the murders. It's revealed that the killer is not Harry Warden, but rather Axel, who was the only survivor of Harry's original killing. Axel has been masquerading as Harry in order to exact revenge on the townspeople who covered up the truth about the original killings and allowed Harry to die in a mine. But, like, they knew he was dead, right?
Right.
But I guess they believe he just came back from... I feel like they easily accepted like he was back from the dead. And in the final showdown, Axel kills Tom and Lily, leaving Sarah and Michael as the only survivors. Sarah and Michael manage to subdue Axel and escape the mine, but not before Sarah's injured in a fight with him. In the final scene, we see Sarah and Michael driving out of Valentine's Bluff, haunted by the memories of the horrors they experienced and the knowledge that the town will be forever associated with that bloodshed that took place on Valentine's Day again.
Well said.
It's like people keep going back to Crystal Lake. They decide to come back on Valentine's Day to Valentine Bluffs. Like,
they always think that they're just going to get away with it because time passed.
Bad decisions.
Time don't heal wounds like everybody says it does. I don't know why I said it like that.
I don't know either.
Anyway, what would you rate this movie?
Probably 7.6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That opening scene was really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
Like kind of the like flashback scene.
Yeah, it was definitely like, reminiscent of the original. Yeah, I love what they did with the movie and the direction that the story went in. As far as the first one, I couldn't help but be nervous, that it was gonna suck. Being a fan of the first one, and then there's a fan film coming out that's the sequel. But it doesn't suck, and it's faithful to the original. You can tell that it was made with respect and love to the original too, and like you said, the miner looks awesome. He always looks badass. And dude, let's talk about Lloyd Kaufman though.
Yeah,
he's fucking hilarious.
He had a bit role, so he really didn't fit much into the plot there. But yeah, fucking Lloyd Kaufman is ridiculous.
Yeah, he steals the show.
He just like
acting.
yells shit about like, what is like cut.
Yeah, he just snaps, dude. He just plays the rambunctious old man. But yeah, I wish that there were that the kills were gorier. But besides that, some of the acting is obviously a little bit amateur, but all in all, it's a good, solid effort. And you have to respect anyone who puts this much time and effort into making a movie that they make no money from. This was a passion project. I give Valentine Bluffs 7 ripped out hearts out of 10.
Also, was going to say, I feel like the way I kind of judge a lot of these fan films is, would it fit into the franchise? And I feel like this one could fit into there. I mean, there's some fan films. I've seen some of the Halloween ones, and I'm just like, this is terrible. Like, no offense to these other franchises, but maybe it's our bias. I just feel like it's hard to do a good fan film of Halloween. Like, maybe that's just our bias, but that's how I feel. I feel a lot of them are not good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess Rob Zombie's did like fit into the franchise, so.
They're better than some of the fan films.
Halloween Ends, though, right?
Ugh.
Bring it up for no reason.
Just do that just to piss me off.
Anyway. Oh, yeah. And then, speaking of Halloween, it does have a tie-in to the movie. And I'll talk to Tom about that in our interview. But there's a reference to Rob Zombie's Halloween too.
That's right. I knew you were going to bring that up too. That's funny.
Anyway, just shit on that. But yeah, so we're not going to do a burn and learn today. The interview's full of facts and knowledge. So let's just get into our talk with Valentine Bluff's director, Tom Smith.
Today's guest, Tom Smith, directed, co-wrote, edited, did the special effects, and more on the fan film Valentine Bluffs, the sequel to the 80s slasher classic My Bloody Valentine. Welcome, Tom. Thanks for being on High on Horror.
Oh, thanks for having me.
First question that I wanted to ask you, we ask all of our guests this question first because it's High on Horror. Do you consume cannabis?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Just asking. That's, usually the thing. What's your stance on it? Are you against it,
Oh, no. No, absolutely not. No, I just never really did it.
Okay. Understood. Well, can't hate me for asking. Okay, so what's your favorite thing, Tom, about making movies? And what's your favorite thing about making movies? And how old were you when you knew that, you wanted to do shit behind a camera?
Oh man, I was into horror since I was like nine years old. Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th was the very first film I ever seen in the theater, and I was like 9 years old.
Shit.
Yeah, so since then I was like all into horror. Just my uncle did like a lot of special effects makeup, and I used to like work with him, and he used to do it on me, and I got really into it. And then I started doing a haunted attraction for a recreation center, like out of my own house and then a recreation center, and that got me into like making things and stuff like that. And then a friend of mine asked me if I wanted to come and do some special effects for his movie, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, yeah, I'll come and do it, just kind of fake it until I make it, kind of deal. And it started off like there. I got, once I was on film, like the film set, I got hooked. And that was back in 1998. And then I eventually went to special effects school in 2011 at Tom Savini Special Effects School.
Oh, nice.
And then that's what I do, basically just do special effects. And then I doing that for a long time. And then I started just getting into writing my own scripts and making short films, and then which led me into Valentine Bluff was my first feature film that I directed.
And you'd mentioned Friday the 13th. What were some other movies that kind of got you into the genre?
My Bloody Valentine was my favorite. That's that was the reason why we did the Valentine Bluffs. The Thing, American Werewolf in London, The Prowler, anything from the 80s.
That's all good shit.
Pretty much anything that Tom Savini did, I was on board. Yeah, so that was pretty much it. Anything from the 80s, early 90s. That's what kind of inspired me to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you said The Prowler. That one's one that I feel is just highly underrated. It's such a good slasher
Agreed.
movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I actually did my first short film was called Hunting for Justice, and that was kind of inspired by The Prowler.
Yeah, and I was going to say you did have a lot of shorts under your belt. I'm a big fan of short films for a handful of reasons. But what attracts you to doing short films?
They're just easier to do. You don't have to schedule, 3-4 weeks to do it. You can do it over a weekend. It's not, it doesn't cost as much money to do a feature. There's different things. I like doing shorts because just the time spent, the time spent, it's just doing 2, 3, 4, 5 minute shorts. My short Hunting for Justice was, I believe it was 22 minutes. That was the longest short that I did. But yeah, they're just a little bit easier. You don't need to take a lot of time to schedule everything and get everything together where it takes months to do. Valentine Bluffs, like I said, was my first feature, and that took us like 2 years. 2 years before we even started making it. Of all revising the script, putting the campaign together, tons of production meetings with my producer, and it's like I said, it's just a little bit easier. It's I'll just say it's like not as hectic. Because when you're on set, things can get really hectic.
Oh, for sure. And actually, and speaking of Valentine's Bluffs, and this being your first feature film, this was also your first time using Indiegogo, if I'm correct. How was the experience, and what differed from it than what you expected?
Okay, so yeah, it was my first time running the Indiegogo campaign. Me and my partner Rowan and Chuck Ryan, the producer, he also played the minor. We were the ones that put it all together. I actually worked on 2 films that had campaigns before, and they were not successful. So the biggest thing for us was I'm not a social media guy, so I don't have this huge following. So that, the biggest thing was I've seen all these campaigns fail, and the last thing that we wanted to do was run a campaign and only make $7,000. Now you're obligated to make this film for everybody, deliver all the perks, and make the film for $7,000. So that was the biggest thing. Like I said, it took us 7-8 months to put that campaign together. And we reached out to a lot of people, trying to get some notes from them, what worked, what doesn't work, what they did. Quite a few people, gave us some really good notes to take down and told us what to do and what not to do. And then when we launched it, I was nervous up until the whole entire time we were doing it. Luckily, we started out, and it, My Bloody Valentine has a following, and that was something that we were kind of weird. It's not like a Friday the 13th where or a Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Halloween, so it doesn't have that huge following. It's got a cult following. So that, again, like I said, that was kind of nerve-wracking for that. And then, you're obligated to make a film for the fans, and that's always nerve-wracking because you're not going to please everybody.
Yeah, and were you worried about Paramount or anybody else trying to shut the film down?
No, because the way fan films work, there's a fine borderline of how they work. You're not allowed to do them, but they don't really say anything to you because you're not profiting off the movie.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
We put the disclosures in there, and we were actually in contact with the original director from My Bloody Valentine, and some of the original cast members. So they were all pretty supportive of what we were doing.
That's awesome. And My Bloody Valentine is one of my top 3 slashers ever. It's probably my second, honestly. And it never got a sequel. So I wanted to ask you, what was the push to take it upon yourself to make the sequel to My Bloody Valentine being your first feature film?
So if you go back a couple of years ago, I was at Horror Hound. I was vending up there, and I just seen this cosplayer who had the ultimate Harry Warden cosplay. The details were spot on, and when I'm vending up there, I'll if I see something I really like, I'll try to grab a picture with them, and I just grabbed a picture with this cosplayer, and now you fast forward 4 years later, and I had the idea of wanting to do this fan film because fan films were really big at that time. That's when all the Friday the 13th fan films started coming around.
Right.
People were enjoying it, and it was wow, I'd like to do something, but I don't want to do it my Friday the 13th or Halloween because it's all been done before. And being that My Bloody Valentine was always my favorite film, I thought that could have used a sequel, because I really wasn't too big of a fan of the 3D version, the 2009 one.
Agreed. Same. I didn't care for it. Yeah.
So, I mean, I liked it for what it was because I got to see the miner again, But as far as like story and I think it just fell a little flat. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that's where that kind of started. So I had the idea of like I had the beginning and the end of the film, and no script, just like a bunch of notes jotted down. And I started trying to find out who this cosplayer was that I met 4 years ago. Not even met, just got a picture with. And
Right.
I started reaching out to like a lot of people that I know from conventions, and was like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" Showing pictures, and this one person, after a few weeks, he was like, "Yeah, you should really check out this guy Chuck Ryan. I think that's his cosplay." And I looked him up on social media. I messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, you don't know me, but this is what I want to do. I got a picture with you like a while back." And we exchanged phone numbers. And then I pitched him this really, what I thought was a really good pitch, and I remember getting off the phone with him, and I was like telling my wife, I was like, "Man, he didn't seem too excited about that." So I don't know if this is going to happen. And but I found out later on, like he was super excited. He was just trying to play play it cool, and
Yeah.
because he didn't know who I
Downplay it,
was,
yeah.
and he was just like, have you ever done stuff before? And I was trying to explain to him like I'm not like a backyard filmmaker. Like we have legit cameras and stuff like that. And I actually mailed him a copy of my short film Hunting for Justice. And he was like, "Do you have a script?" And I was like, "No, but give me a couple weeks." And I sent him a script in like 2 weeks, and I sent him a copy of Hunting for Justice. And he called me up and he was like, "Hey man, I'm on board." He was like, "The script is really good." He was like, "I liked your short film," and that was all from there.
That's
That was
awesome.
actually like 3 years ago on Valentine's Day. We started it, and it was actually supposed to be a short film. Just because of all that, like, we don't have a budget. We don't have money to put out towards a film like that. So, going through ideas of what we can do, and then we start like looking into the whole like Indiegogo and Kickstarter and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much how it all started.
I was gonna say, Paul Kelman, the original TJ, unfortunately had passed away in January 2022, and he
Yeah.
was recast in your film by Jeff Swisher, who did a great job. But I wanted to know, behind the scenes, was Paul ever considered to come back as TJ before he passed away?
No. If I'm going to be honest, Paul Kelman was actually the only one of the very few who was kind of against it. He would message me and was like, "Hey, you can't do this," and I was trying to explain to him like it was a fan film, and not like
Oh, no
against.
kidding.
He was just like, "Hey, you can't do this," and I was like, "Oh yeah, we can. It's a fan film, and we're not making any money off of it." And I was trying to explain to him, and then that was like the end of that conversation. Um,
Wow, I did not know that.
yeah. So, but uh, I spoke with other cast members, and they were all very supportive of it. Like, and some of them were actually supposed to be in the film. Just due to scheduling, it just didn't work out.
And how did Lloyd Kaufman become involved?
So, okay, so you see the movie. So we have this crazy like mayor, like he's like the antagonist of the film. And when I wrote the script, I wrote it, and I cast uh, multiple people for it. Actually, Danny Roebuck was the first person, the guy who plays in all Rob Zombie's films, and he just played Grandpa Munster on the Munsters. He was supposed to be the mayor, and then a bunch of stuff happened with the whole crew dropping out, and then we had to reschedule, and then he was only in town for that one day, and then we couldn't get him, and then we left us like a month to like try to find somebody. Oh, not like 2 weeks really, to try to find somebody for the mayor, and a lady Courtney, she's the news reporter at the end that's interviewing the mayor.
Yep. Yes.
She is very good friends with Lloyd Kaufman's family.
Okay.
I believe that's his goddaughter. And she was like, "Hey, I can get you in touch with Lloyd Kaufman," and we were just like, "Yeah, let's do it," And
Hell yeah.
and like I said, I grew up in the '80s, and I'm a big fan of trauma films, and I was just like, "Wow, that'd be really cool." And you know, my biggest thing was, Lloyd being Lloyd Kaufman and Troma. Like I wanted him to take this a little bit more serious. And when we reached out to him, we spoke with his assistant. We got it all scheduled. We came up with the amount of money, and I spoke with him, and he was on board. He was super excited about it.
That's awesome. Now, did he improvise much, or was it all kind of just written for him already?
The script was given to him like a week before. He actually came in and knew a good bit of the script. He did like ad lib some lines and stuff like that. Somebody like because we were just tell him like take it on a serious, but like be that antagonist where nobody likes you. You're the person that we want to see die in this film. And yeah, he was good. He just went on doing his own thing, and he added some things with made it kind of funny. But I was all for it. He was such a pleasure to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. It cracked me up because to me, his character in your movie was basically the mayor in Jaws. He was the guy that just pushed things to keep going when he should have backed the fuck off.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because it's very inspired by Jaws. That mayor. Jaws is one of my top 3 favorite movies. When people ask me all the time, they say, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And I say Jaws, number 1. It was the movie that made me never want to go in the ocean ever again.
Understood. That had that effect on a lot of people. But one of the things that really stands out about your movie that I wanted to say was, to me, as a huge fan of the first My Bloody Valentine, which I don't know if you knew this, but My Bloody Valentine is also Quentin Tarantino's favorite slasher film. So I thought that was interesting to find that out. But the neon town sign of Valentine Bluffs looks fucking incredible, man. Is that the original sign? If not, who made that? Like, I want that in my house.
No, we made it. We built it. We actually, again, before we started shooting, we were like months away from shooting. We got together, a group of us. We brought Chuck in from Wisconsin, and we shot a teaser concept to put together for the Indiegogo campaign. So we had a few people work on that sign and make the sign. A guy I went to school with, Daniel Madden, he built the sign for us and did the lettering, and then we kind of like finished it up when he was done with it. Refinished the lettering and lacquered it all up and made it look the way it is. But yeah, I think there was like 4 people involved that made that sign, but it was legit. It was really cool to see. Yeah, but now that's ours. It's sitting in my basement now.
That's awesome. Yeah, watching the movie, I'm like, damn, did they get their hands on the original sign? Like, it's pretty accurate. It looks pretty badass. And you actually, though, something about the movie too was that you've actually filmed scenes in an actual mine. What was that like? Was that a pain in the ass? And what kind of precautions did you guys have to take before filming those scenes?
Oh yeah, it was. Everything was so like difficult. Every location was difficult because of COVID. That was like the big thing. But when we actually shot in the mine, here's a really good story. It was crazy. So our shoot was a 9-day schedule. We were scheduled to shoot it 9 days. Our very first day was the mine, which is the hardest day. And it was the first time we got this whole crew together, and then we had people back out the last minute. So we actually went in there with not a full crew on the first day. And,
shit.
It was pretty crazy. It was a real mine. It's called the Pioneer Tunnel in Ashland, PA. Yeah, it was crazy. I remember the first day we went in there was in August. It was like 85, 90 degrees. It was hot.
Ugh.
And you get near the door and you open up the door and it's like a freezer. You walk into a freezer and it drops down to like 40 degrees right away. And it was cold. It was wet. It was so damp, and and here's another thing too. When we scouted the mine a couple of months before that, we went in there and we took the tour down and we were walking around, and it was dry. When we went back to shoot, it rained a couple of days, so when we got in there, everything was like wet and damp and dripping, and it was like, you know, just really bad. We actually the fight scene, that fight scene was coordinated to like go on the ground, like, and do like, some wrestling on the ground, like most fights are.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it. We had to, like, redo a whole nother like fight scene, kind of, just because of how wet it was, and like we couldn't go on the ground. It was pretty crazy, but it was fun. There was like a lot of things, like we couldn't bring in like any kind of electrical stuff, like generators or stuff like that. So we had to go and get, like, battery powered lights. Everything had to be like battery powered, and nothing could be plugged in. The lighting in there was pretty good for what we needed, but we had some lighting of ours, some lighting of our own come in, some people, and do it. But other than that, like I said, it was fun. Like it wasn't hard. It was just, they were just long days, and then
Right.
we ended up having to go back into the mine like 2 months after we shot, to do some reshoots.
I imagine that was a total, like, oh my god, I'm actually making a My Bloody Valentine movie moment with you being like in mines and stuff, right?
Yeah, here's the best part about it was when I was in there and we were getting ready to shoot the first scene. We shot it and we were like, we were doing things, and then we were about 4 hours in until we seen the miner, because we shot a lot of stuff with the TJ and the sheriff first, and then we had Chuck in his miner costume. The first time I seen him in the mine with the suit on, everybody was like getting goosebumps, man. It was like so crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So with the ending revealing that Axel is back, are you in hopes of doing another sequel?
No, not really. I would like to, but here's the issue with it. Like, you got to realize, like, it takes like 2 years out of your life, and you're not making no money off of it. So
Right.
you can't profit off it at all. So that was hard. I kind of left it open ended like that with Axel, just in case later on we wanted to come back and revisit it, or if somebody else wanted to do a fan film off of that film.
Nice.
And is there any other horror movies you would want to make a fan film of? I think with your last answer, I gotta imagine it might be no, kind of, with you said how hard it is to make it.
Nah, you know what? When we first started talking about doing the fan film, it was either going to be one of two films. It was going to be a Texas Chainsaw Massacre or the My Bloody Valentine, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one was up in the air because I actually had access to a meat house.
Oh shit!
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I mean, again, My Bloody Valentine is my favorite film, and I had the idea, and I thought it was a cool idea. We just went for it that way.
Well, one of the things that I really liked about, the movie that stood out to me was the Nightmare Toys commercial, because I buy from there all the time and I socialize with Christy Adams. What was that an existing commercial, or did you film that specifically for Valentine Bluffs?
Yeah, we filmed that they filmed it just for Valentine Bluffs. When I reached out to her, I was like, hey, because she was a second sponsor. That was something that was like really weird. Like, I don't really know if other fan films got that or do that, but we were fortunate enough to get Fright Rags as a sponsor.
Nice.
And then Nightmare Toys was a second sponsor. So once we got that on there, and then Christy was going to be in the movie, so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, we'd like to promote like Nightmare Toys some way. So what about like doing a commercial? And she was like, oh yeah. And I just said, hey, do this commercial, make it like 80s cheesy style, like them bad car salesman commercials, Crazy Eddie. And I was like, just do something like that and then send it over to us. And they did that it was the first shot, and there was no getting back to them and saying, hey, can you change this or do this? I loved it. I was like, this is so funny.
And there was also a trailer in there for a Michael versus Jason movie. If those two fought, who do you think would win?
Michael.
See,
I'm
I
going
want to
with
say
Michael,
Michael
too.
because I like Michael more, but I think, to me, it would probably be Jason.
Yeah, I don't, it's that's so weird. It's like hard to say, but that's actually a fan film called Roseblood, made by Peter Anthony. Yeah, I reached out to him. He was like a big supporter of the film, and I knew that he was doing a film, and I'm all about like working with like promoting other people, other fan films, and other films in general. There's just there's too many people out there that are negative, and like they see like it's a competition. Like I'm doing this and you can't do that. And we just wanted to show people like this is how it should be. So I reached out to Peter and I was
That's
like,
awesome.
hey, I want to put like a commercial together for the scene that's going to play like right before the commercial of the mayor that comes on, and he sent me a clip and we cut that together as a commercial for him, and it was just like a shout out to them guys, because they making these films is hard, and doing a fan film is even harder because you're putting out money of your own, you're raising money, and again, like you can't make anything off of it, so it's just like let's support each other and not throw out these like negative vibes like you see a lot of people do.
And I enjoyed the insult towards Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 from those kids. Did you like any of Rob Zombie's Halloween movies?
I'm actually a huge Rob Zombie fan.
Okay.
Yeah, I like all of his movies. I like the Devil's Rejects. I would say is like one of my favorite films.
Same.
I like the Halloween one. Halloween 2 was. I think if you take away certain things, it would be a really good film because I like the fact that he went about it like seeing what Michael Myers sees in his head, like making him more humanized and not like this, like this ghost thing, where just special, just a creature that like can't be killed, can't die, kind of deal, So yeah, my son was the one who actually says it, and
Oh, really?
That's awesome.
and he doesn't like Halloween 2, and that actually was something that he came up with on the fly, and we just thought it was funny.
Yeah, I mean, even I've found even people that's like Rob Zombie's first Halloween, it's hard to find anybody that ends up liking the second one.
Yeah, like I said, I like the second one. I thought it was, if you just take out like certain things, like the whole like mom, like he's seen his mom's visions and the horse thing, which are kind of odd. I think it's a pretty good movie. I enjoy it. Like I said, I enjoy Rob Zombie's films. I know there's a lot of hate for Rob Zombie films. Me and my son like go back and forth with it. It's like having a debate on like why is his films good and why his films ain't good, and it's funny. But yeah, he definitely doesn't like them.
Yeah, I'm with him on that. I'm not the biggest Rob Zombie fan. Drew's a little more of a Rob Zombie fan than me.
He's hit and miss for me. But when he gets it right, he gets it right.
Did you like the Devil's Rejects?
I boycotted Rob Zombie after the first two Halloween movies. I hadn't seen those yet, so Drew's trying to eventually get me to watch those.
I'm telling him, just because you don't like Halloween doesn't mean you won't like them. But he won't watch them.
House of a Thousand Corpses was good because at that time there were no good horror movies coming out, and the way Rob put it out there was, he put it out there raw, and it was like a whole new way of like making a film, kind of like music video kind of style, So I liked House of a Thousand Corpses, but then when Devil's Rejects came out, I just thought that was a really good, like, because it's very raw, it's raunchy,
It's funny.
And when you're watching a movie and you start at the end of the film, you start feeling sorry for the people who killed all these people. I think that's pretty good writing. And at the end of the Devil's Rejects, I was like, man, I actually feel bad for these guys, like for what the sheriff's doing to them.
Yeah, dude, me too. That's what happened to me. I was like, yo, I started tearing up at the end of the movie. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why? These guys are psychopaths. Why do I feel this?
Yeah, and he's got the best soundtracks of all the movies.
Yeah, you can't deny that.
He always got good soundtracks.
And yeah, again, we want to thank you for joining us today to talk about the film and my Bloody Valentine and everything else. Do you have any upcoming projects you're working on?
Yeah, so right now we're in pre-production for an anthology,
Oh,
which is like kind of like Creepshow, Twilight Zone kind of deal.
Okay.
It'll be 4 short films, ranging in between 15 to 30 minute style, put together as an anthology, and it's going to be called The Sick and Twisted Tales.
Awesome. Any idea around when that may come out, or is that just in the planning
Well,
stages?
it's still in early stages. We have
Okay.
all the stories lined up. We had 2 scripts kind of finalized, and it's just a matter of bringing the right people on. I know a good amount of the people that were a part of Valentine Bluffs are going to be on that project, and
That's awesome.
we actually might be looking to bring in other directors, to direct some of the shorts. Just like I said, because it's about promoting each other, and I, like I said, I respect all the the filmmakers that work hard and doing what they're doing, and then because you sometimes you have these filmmakers, even people who I've worked with, that are like, oh, we're family, and then 6 months later they don't even talk to you no more, or you can't even get footage from them, and it's like, what happened to that whole we're family deal, we're friends. So this is more like Valentine Bluffs was definitely the best crew and cast that I've ever put together. Easily, the most talented people. John Picos was our cinematographer. It's so crazy the stuff that he got for the little equipment that he has. I remember when I first spoke to him, he's like, I don't have a lot of equipment. I just got this camera and this slider, and I was like, cool, let's do it. And we came up with the shot list, and yeah, it was good, man. Everybody had so many hats to wear. It's like, we have actors that are producing and lighting, and we lost our sound guy the day before we went to the mine. So
Oh wow.
one of the other actors, he was like, I can do a little bit of sound, if I have some equipment. And John, the camera guy, was like, well, I got this equipment. It's not the best. Then we went into the mine and he did it, and we had to go back in the mine and redo it because of certain things, like some sound and some of the shots, we didn't get that we really wanted. But he did a really good job for stepping up, never doing sound, and I believe sound is probably 80% of the film. You can't make a good film with bad sound. I'd rather have poor shots, blurry, blurred out shots and good sound. At least you can get away with that kind of stuff. But if you have bad sound in the film, and we had some issues with ours, we had to do some ADR. But all in all, I think it worked out pretty good for what we had to for what we went through. Again, there was a lot of films are hard, and a lot of mishaps.
Yeah, 2 days is a pretty short notice to replace somebody.
Oh yeah, that was literally. I got a text message from the sound guy about 11:30 at night, and we had to be on set at 7:00 in the morning. So yeah, that was not good. But yeah, I mean, you deal with that, and you just get through it. And we had a lot of issues on this set, from the very beginning. I know I've said it before on podcasts where when we shot our teaser concept, COVID hit our set and 10 people got sick with COVID. And I actually got the worst and I ended up on life support.
Oh wow.
oh shit.
Yeah, being on a ventilator and on an ECMO machine. And I was in a coma for a month. And when I remember coming out of it and after a couple of weeks of being able to talk, when they pulled the breathing tubes out, I remember telling my crew and my wife that I didn't want to make this film. I didn't want to be on film sets no more. And it was so hard. It was so hard. I had to like go to right after I got out of the hospital, like and heal from COVID and everything that I had to deal with in there. I had to go like to another hospital for like physical therapy, like a rehabilitation, like to learn how to walk, like do all kinds, like feed myself. I couldn't eat. I couldn't feed myself. I was so weak.
Oh wow.
So that was like I was supposed to be in there for like 6 months, and I got out of there in like a month and a half. And then once I got home, I started getting the bug again. I was like trying to get in my workroom and start sculpting again and making things, and it was frustrating at first. But once I got into it, I was ready to go, and I contacted my partners, and I was like, "Hey, I want to do this. Let's we went all we made so much already, and we thought we had a pretty good film to make." And my wife was like a huge supporter of that. She was the one who kind of like talked me into it, and we went on and we started doing it again. And it took another year to make the film.
Yeah, wow, that's
thank God you hung
that's a
in
lot
there.
to go through.
Yeah, like I said, there was a lot of like that's just like that was like the biggest thing. We had like people not showing up. We had cancellations on certain things. Like we lost locations. We had all that kind of stuff always happens. But you just gotta get through it and pull together as a team. And that's what I say. Like this is this is one of the first teams I worked with in a long time that stuck by each other. There was no egos. Everybody knew what we wanted to do. We were out to make like a fan film for the people, for the fans. And it was good. It was fun. And hopefully, I talked to a majority of them, and a majority are on board for the next project. So I can't wait to start working on that.
And again, we just want to thank you for speaking with us today. It's been a real pleasure to get to talk to you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. Thank you to Tom Smith for joining us today. If you haven't seen Valentine Bluffs, make sure to check it out on YouTube. And next week, we're going to bring you the Pups Exorcist. I got to do a bad... if Russell Crowe could do a bad Italian accent, I should be able to do a bad Italian accent.
Yeah, we'll get to hear him say,
we'll see if we liked it, but as many movies that have come out recently, the trailers have not inspired me to think they were good. But hey, Renfield was better than what I thought it was going to be. So
I've done worse things with my time than watch Russell Crowe take on some demons. So let's see what this is about. Damn, low blow again.
Damn, that movie was bad. Or Scream 5, either one.
Let's take a bet. Anybody listening at the end of this season, whoever can count, just give us an accurate count of how many times John shits on Scream 6 throughout this season. We'll give you a prize. John will give you a prize.
That's a lie. Somebody's going to send it in. I'll be like, oh, Phil came in the mirror. So I'm telling you, the process is corrupt already. Anyway, make sure to follow us online at High on Horror 420 at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can send us some PPA, Puff Ass questions at highonhorror420 at gmail.com. And check out our website, highonhorror.com. And that should about wrap her up. Catch you later.
Bye, everybody.